Take a look at this scene. The house sits isolated in a dark valley, completely dwarfed by the night sky. Inside is a 20-year-old named Leo. He wants to own a sprawling chain of restaurants and become a successful entrepreneur. But looking at where he's starting, the math doesn't seem to work. His family is barely scraping by. His father, Mark, works grueling hours as a mechanic, and his mother cleans houses just to keep the lights on and feed his younger sister. They have zero surplus capital to fund a new business venture. When Leo confesses his massive ambitions, his father makes the reality of their situation clear. He tells his son that dreams demand a toll. If Leo wants a different life, he has to fight for it using exactly what he has right now, even if that's almost nothing. This sets the stage for a test of sheer willpower, a demonstration of how to build a business and a future starting from absolutely zero. His first move is purely observational. People in his town love fresh bread, but the closest bakery is miles away. There is a clear, untapped demand, but Leo has absolutely no money to buy the initial inventory to supply it. He hikes out to the bakery and pitches the owner, a notoriously grumpy man named Anderson. Leo asks for a week's worth of bread up front, entirely on credit. He promises to do all the legwork, return the principal, and keep a small putt. Anderson agrees to the terms, and Leo sets up a small stand in his local park. When people hesitate to buy from an unproven kid, he cuts the bread into small pieces and hands them out for free. The tactic works. By sunset on day one, his entire inventory is gone. He marches straight back to Anderson and hands over the cash. When you lack financial capital, personal reliability is the only currency you have. Leo proved he could execute. This chart highlights the bottleneck in Leo's current model. This tiny bar represents his profit from reselling. But this tall bar represents the potential margin if he bakes himself. To capture that revenue, he has to eliminate the supplier entirely. He convinces Anderson to take him on as an apprenticeship. Starting at 3 a.m, Leo is in the bakery. Look at the intense physical effort required here. He's fighting through the sheer exhaustion of kneading thick, heavy dough until his hands ache. Naturally, he ruins batch after batch. The bread comes out like a brick or a wet sponge. But instead of quitting, he treats every burnt loaf as a mandatory data point. Each mistake isolates exactly what not to do on the next attempt. Mastering a new craft demands payment in the form of repeated, frustrating failure. Leo pays that cost, and 2 weeks later, Anderson hands him a perfectly baked loaf. His operational capacity has officially expanded. But markets are rarely static. A well-funded competitor named Eric opens a bakery right in town. Eric has a massive shop, colorful signage, and beautiful displays. The townspeople immediately start drifting over to the shiny new option. This graph tracks Leo's sales over time. Notice the steady climb. Then watch what happens the week Eric's bakery opens. Revenue takes a dive. Leo's prior success offers zero protection. Look at the recovery path here on the graph. Instead of slashing prices or panicking, Leo goes straight to the source. He asks his defecting customers exactly what they like about Eric's shop. They tell him the truth. Eric's place is cleaner and his cakes look better. Leo uses his savings to paint his cart. He goes to the library, watches tutorials, and teaches himself advanced cake decorating. Slowly, the customers return, and his margins recover enough for him to finally rent his own physical storefront. Long-term survival in a competitive market requires you to separate your ego from your business. You let the consumer diagnose your weaknesses, and you execute the exact upgrades they demand. You can see the sheer devastation right here. One stormy night, an electrical fire breaks out near the ovens. Leo manages to extinguish the flames, but the damage is done. Almost all of his equipment is destroyed. His financial progress is wiped out in minutes. The next morning, the townspeople survey the wreckage. The general consensus is that Leo is finished. He calculates his remaining cash and realizes he doesn't have nearly enough to replace what he lost. A total wipeout is the ultimate audit of an entrepreneur. It immediately separates those who are driven by the convenience of an easy market from those whose drive is truly internal. Leo refuses to close. He drags whatever scrap equipment survived the fire back to his small house and starts baking in his home kitchen. He promises his core customers that the supply will continue, even if the volume drops temporarily. This is where his year of grinding pays a massive dividend. Because the townspeople had watched him work every morning since the beginning, they didn't see a failed business. They saw a man worth supporting. They voluntarily show up with supplies, ingredients, and labor to get his doors open again. His journey highlights the reality of the entrepreneurial path, that dreams have a cost, and that failure is often the only way to gather the expertise required to succeed. By showing he would work through the disaster alone, he proved to the community that he was a safe bet for their help. The universe guarantees exactly nothing, but once you commit to paying the full price of effort, enduring the early mornings, the failed experiments, and the catastrophic setbacks, virtually everything becomes possible.